Good evening.
Erev Tov, Rabbi Prague.
Erev Tov, Erev Tov.
Hey, Rabbi, how are you?
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. We have in this week's parasha, Parashat Emor, the parasha of the Moadim. Let's look a second. We're going to focus a little bit on Chol HaMoed. מה זה המילים Chol HaMoed? Yes? Look a second. I mean, the first topic of the holiday is פסח. אז בואו נראה מה כתוב בפסח, אפשר ללכת גם לסוכות, זה אותו דבר. Look a second, פרק כ"ג לספר ויקרא, אלה מועדי השם מקראי קודש אשר תקראו אותם במועדם. אוקיי? 15 יום לחודש הזה חג המצות להשם, 7 ימים מצות אוכלים. היום הראשון נקרא קודש יהיה לכם, כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו. Good? Now, מה פירוש המילים כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו? says רש"י, מלאכת עבודה, אפילו מלאכות החשובות לכם עבודה וצורך, שיש חסרון כיס בבטלה שלהם, כגון דבר האבל. כך הבנתי בתורת כהנים. Again, there was a hava mina that I should be permitted על יום טוב because it's not Shabbat, המלאכה, opening my business. How does Rashi learn that the interpretation of כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו means מלאכות שיש בהם חסרון כיס? Listen further in Rashi.
So this is Rashi on Pasuk Zion?
The Rashi is just a second, פסוק ח'.
Chet, okay, I'm looking.
ח'. מלאכת עבודה, you see the Rashi? אפילו מלאכות החשובות לכם עבודה וצורך, שיש חסרון כיס בבטלה שלהם כגון דבר האבד, כך הבנתי מתורת כהנים. Listen.
But Rabbi Prague, can I ask you? Okay, but if you look at Pasuk Zion, it's also Kol Melechet Avodah Lo Ta'asu. But that's because that's Yom. There's a difference obviously between Yom Rishon and the next day.
נכון, חכה.
Okay.
קטני, יכול אף חולו של מועד יהיה אסור במלאכת עבודה, you hear? The Torah Kohanim says, maybe Chol HaMoed is also asur, so I have a ribui. So Rashi learns for me that Melechet Avodah means מלאכות שיש לי בהם הפסד. So in each one of the holidays, כתוב את זה אותו דבר בדיוק. כל מלאכת עבודה אסור לי, אבל מלאכת אוכל נפש מותר לי. But מלאכת עבודה, which means מלאכה שיש בה חסרון כיס, גם זה אסור. כל מלאכת עבודה, yes? עכשיו תראה מה כתוב אחרי זה. לוקחים חג הסוכות אותו דבר, כן? חג הסוכות, בפרק כ"ג פסוק ל"ה. ביום הראשון נקרא הקודש, כל מלאכת העבודה לא תעשו. אז מה זה כל? אפילו דברים שאני מתיר לכם לעשות בחול המועד, on the holiday himself, לא תעשו, כן? אז יש מחלוקת בראשונים, we are going to look now in the שולחן ערוך. The שולחן ערוך begins, if you have excess, Larry, please, Siman Taf Kuf Lamed, which is 530. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Chol HaMoed אסור בקצת מלאכות ומותר בקצתן. says the רמה, לפי צורך העניין שהיה נראה לחכמים להתיר. What does it mean? The Torah left the decision what counts למלאכה בחול המועד. מה נקרא מלאכת דבר עבד, מה לא נקרא? So listen carefully what the Mishnah Berurah says. מלאכות המותרות בחול המועד הם 5. דבר העבד, אם לא יעשנו עתה, וצורכי המועד, whatever you need ממש for the holiday, ובשביל פועל שאין לו מה יאכל, וצורכי רבים, ומעשה הדיוט. You hear? There are 4 rules. דבר ראשון זה דבר העבד. So most religious people who go to work on Chol HaMoed, it's considered דבר העבד, especially if you are employed by someone. Or let's say you are in the jewelry business and you have a customer that the customers that you have might be non-religious or not Jews. Okay. Then you have צורכי המועד, obviously. Then בשביל פועל שאין לו מה יאכל. A man that his job provides him the basics. Fine. Now listen good to the Mishnah Berurah. והנה בעיקר איסור מלאכת חול המועד יש דעות בין הראשונים. יש שסוברים שהוא מדברי סופרים, כמו שמצינו בתורה, שנקראו מקרא קודש, והרי הוא זמן חגיגה במקדש. לפיכך הסרום בעשיית מלאכה, כדי שלא יהיה כשאר ימות החול. ומכל מקום, לא הקלו בו ביום טוב ממש, ויקלו ב5. Some Rishonim say it's a Isur D'Rabbanan to show that these days are not regular weekdays. So this is why they are lenient in 5 areas. בהרבה פוסקים סופרים, שהוא מן התורה. If you look in the ביאור הלכה, ברמב"ם, תוספות, says the Rabbanan. Other Rishonim says מן התורה. The Rif is equal to the Rambam. The שאילתות, okay, so the מחלוקת. So באמת, it goes like this, look. I live in a neighborhood that on Chol HaMoed, everyone is dressed with B'gdei Shabbat. The Hasidim go with the fur hats. Most of the grocery stores are open half a day. Most Hasidim who have businesses in Manhattan, they don't go to work the entire week. It's a challenge, but you feel really the ruach of the holiday, even on Chol HaMoed. Otherwise, now here comes, this is a problem that affects many. The next siman is mitzvah legalech be'erev Yom Tov ve'ein megalchim b'moed afilu im gileach kol HaMoed. Okay, except if someone just came from a long trip, and then was released from jail, and then...
What happens if you have to go to work?
So what's the question?
So if you have to go to work, are you allowed to shave to go to work if it's a requirement of your job?
If it's a requirement of the job, many people are multi, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
makes
but
sense.
again, Larry, you have to be, let's say, Chas v'shalom, when a person is losing one of his father or his mother, he didn't shave, did he? Unless you would say that his boss probably understands that, okay, father, mother. But anyway, if it's mamash mafriya to the job, okay, it's like everything in
But, Rabbi Prague, let's say you're allowed 7 days a year to have personal days, like for yontifs,
yeah,
whatever.
this is a serious question, yeah.
You understand what I'm driving at, and
Yeah.
you
I know
elect,
many, I
and
know
you
many,
elect.
I know many people that this is the days they take off, yeah.
But I'm saying the other way, that they purposely work on those days, and they,
Yeah, this
so
is
it's
what we
really not a
say.
davar havud. They're working
Yeah.
because they don't want to give up something else that are better days.
Okay, זה באמת לא בסדר, yeah. I read recently a very interesting conversation. A serious rabbinic judge in Israel, serious, not paid by the Rabbanut, a real, had to meet with one of the chief justice of the Israeli system. The chief justice was really a scholar, and he says to him, Arab, why do you look down on the way we judge? I'm an honest man. I'm really trying to be fair. So the rabbinic judge says to him like this, listen, recently we had the following case. I want to hear what you would say. Please listen carefully. An Arab worker worked by a Jewish employer. And before the holidays, this was a religious guy. He gave people off and he paid them. So the Arab comes and he says, you have to pay me too.
Mhm.
But you're not Jewish. This is not your holidays. Remember, this is not a union. This is so the rabbinic judge says to the other judge, so what would you say? I would say we are paying for the Jewish holidays. You're not really keeping those Jewish holidays. So I don't think we have to pay. Says the rabbinic judge to the judge, you always declare publicly, and you are a very honest man, but you don't keep anything, you know? There's no Shabbat, there's no Yom Tov. But are you being paid in the court for the religious holidays? He says, of course. He says, but why? You're not keeping it. Yeah? Okay, so of course you can say that, well, even though I'm not keeping it, but this is part of, in Israel, you can still feel that Shabbat is Shabbat, you can feel that the holiday is a holiday. But you see, to be so strong and say that the Arab not, if this is the way the system works in Israel, the Jewish holidays are part of the system, so the Arab is exactly, but it's again, you do understand. If you learn halacha, if you learn Gemara Moed Katan, you see it's a serious business. If you really have to, you have to. If you're a doctor, you're a doctor. If you're employed by someone and you would deduct it and you would lose. Yeah, I know people that take off on Erev Yom Kippur, one of their vacation days. They took Erev Rosh Hashanah, one vacation days. Chol HaMoed, they take 2 days for that. Okay.
Does the Rambam also say somewhere when he talks about Chol HaMoed or Purim or Hanukkah, Sheino roes simin bracha la'olam or something like
It's a
that?
Gemara, on Chol HaMoed, yeah. Now, תקשיב טוב, I'm going over with you Shulchan Aruch. So shaving, is a problem, fine. Then the next siman is you can cut your nails. רפואה מותר בכל המועד. Listen carefully. Listen now. מותר לטחון קמח לצורך המועד. Okay? But you're not allowed to harvest. You're not allowed to... And the question is why? If I need it for Ochel Nefesh, yes. Listen to this. You're allowed to... Sad Adam Dagim, Kol Ma Sheyachol Atzud, if you're going to eat. Okay? פירות שנתבשלו קצת ולאכלות על ידי הדחק, מותר ללקטן. אוקיי, עכשיו, כל מלאכות שהן צורך המועד, כשעושים אותם, עושים בצנעה. הציידים, the hunters, והטוחנים, the grinders, והבוצרים, בוצרים הגרייפס, למכור בשוק, הרי אלו עושים בצנעה. ומותר, you can milk a cow even though you're doing it לאו דווקא בחול המועד, otherwise it's a צער for the בהמה and the milk will be fine. Now, but again, we live in a society that many people are going to work, which is fine, but if a person really wants to know yes, no, it's a בעיה גדולה מאוד. Here, אין מחפשים במועד. Families with children, if they have enough clothing to change, by us, the lady who does the laundry for us knows before Chol HaMoed, she has to do it, the big load for the 8 days, finished. Kacha halacha, even though today you just wrap it in the wash machine and just wrap it in the dryer. This is Mishnayot in Masechet Moed Katan, this is the halacha, yes? Then the Shulchan Aruch says, who is permitted to do it? Who? If you just came from a long trip, if you came out from jail, if you were excommunicated and there were matir and chol hamoed, yes? Ubigdei ktanim. If you don't have, 10, 12 outfits for children, yes? Everything I'm telling you here is a siman in Shulchan Aruch.
But Rabbi Prague, the times have changed. There was a time that if you didn't come to work on those kind of days, you would lose your job. Today, it's a lot different.
No, but it's called לא. השאלה היא ככה, כל אחד מבין that certain jobs that you have to be there because your being there is part of it's not your particular job in your corner. You're part of a big machine. So if you're not coming,
it started. No, I'm talking about. Let's remember that it changed because there used to be a time if you were shomer Shabbat.
Correct. Of course, then everyone was permitted to.
The laws have changed.
It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe what the Jews suffered in the 20s and the 30s. Yeah.
Not even that later. Not that long ago.
Steve Edelsberg says that when he started to work as an accountant, he was in a business in upstate New York or something, and it was short Friday, and he's asking the guard, are you going to be here Saturday night? He says, yes. Why are you asking? He says, I have to retire for Shabbat. I'll be here Saturday night. He says, Monday morning, his boss says, if you're really so sincere to come for Shabbat and to go away for Shabbat, every Shabbat, ככה מספר, you can always go 2 hours before. Okay, now, there are hundreds of stories of people who...
But you know who started that whole business with the Supreme Court in the whole state and everything?
Ryan, who is it?
No, my Uncle Marvin.
Really?
He started, he was the first president of COPA. He started the whole thing.
Really?
I'll send you an article that was his yurt site 2 weeks ago, and his son Avi sent out a letter that when he worked for Lindsay and what he wrote and what he did. It's a monumental story. He
No,
was
but
the
it's
one who
really,
he
it's
brought
really a
that.
monument. Yeah, it is a monumental, yeah. Here in Shul, in Borough Park, the biggest shul, it was erected 1920, 21. It was Bnei Yehuda. You know the shul, Bnei Yehuda.
52nd.
The rabbi, before Rabbi Kerzner, was Rabbi Kaplan. Rabbi Kaplan used to say that he heard from a fellow the following story. This fellow was, I think I told it to you once, was a student of the Chafetz Chaim for many years, 6 years. Then he had to run away from Poland because the army wanted to draft him. He comes to the Chafetz Chaim and he says, give me a blessing, I should be Mashiach. He says to him, only if you give me a Tkiat Kaf. Now by the Sfaradim, night of the wedding, the rabbi is asking the groom to shake his hand. He says, Rabbi, I'm your student for 6 years. He says, you want a bracha? No. This is a single guy. He comes to America. Of course, he couldn't find unless he walks to one Shabbat. He found a landlord that says, I need to clean X amount of windows a week. No akhpat if you do it in 4 days and you walk 12 hours a day, or you walk 5 days, fine. He did a good job for a couple of years. He's getting married, he saved money. After a couple of years, his boss comes to him and says, it's difficult times. If you're not coming to work on Shabbat, I have to fire you. But you promised me I'm doing a good job. He fires him. I mean, the way this Rabbi Kaplan says the guy told him was, in the beginning, he took out money of savings, 3 months or over. There's no food in the house. There's a kid or two, they are crying. On Shabbat morning, he says to his wife, I think I have no choice. I have to go back and accept the job back on Shabbat. As he's walking, he remembers, you hear, that he shook the hand of the Chafetz Chaim. Comes back home, and his wife says to him, no. Says, I can't. I shook his hand. I can't. Wait. Anyway, as they're sitting there, as Erev Tisha B'Av, somebody's knocking on the door. His boss walks in with another man. And he says, you see this man? He's a good friend of mine. Listen carefully what he says to him. This man told me that every Jew will sell his parents, his religion, for money. This is the way people looked on Jews. So I told him, I know one man, you. I meant you, that no, you're not selling your principles for money. He says to me, of course he's not, because you're paying me. He's working very hard. He's working 12 hours a day to have Shabbat. Try to fire him with a bet on a lot of money. Says, today the bet is over, I won. I'm coming to give you back your job, and I'm paying you for the 3 months that I fired you. Okay, it's always good to have a story like this, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and you should know that even those who went to work, there are many limud zchut, not, I'll give you this interesting example. Listen carefully. Do you remember in Chumash, we have it in this week's parasha? No, it's not in this week. This week we have the Mekalel. In the other parasha, we had the story of the Mekoshesh. You remember the story of the Mekoshesh? I mean, just have to imagine. This is the desert, and publicly on Shabbat. A man is desecrating Shabbat. Okay, either he was carrying Rishut Arabim, or he was up, Mata Mishuga. I mean, there are thousands of people seeing you. They gave him a warning, and they took him and, fine, listen carefully. Tosafot in Baba Batra say, this Mekoshesh התכוון לשם שמיים. Why?
Did it on purpose.
After Chet HaEgel, many people started to say, hey, it doesn't pay anymore to keep mitzvot, man. We're going to die anyway. So he did it on purpose to show everyone that the Torah remains Torah. Please listen good. Okay, fine. Now here's the question. Please listen carefully. One of the preconditions to be considered a melacha gemura, punishable by right punishment, is I'm doing it for the purpose of the melacha. So, I mean, the famous example is I'm digging on Shabbat in my backyard. Not because I want to plant something there. I need some soil to cover dirt from a child. זה נקרא מלאכה שאינה צריכה לגופה. I'm writing because I have to have a written paper. I'm cooking because I'm interested in the food, yes? Please listen carefully. Says, you hear this? Says the Maharsha in Baba Batra, באמת, באמת, please listen good now, the מקושש is מלאכה שאינה צריכה לגופה. What does it mean? If I take this sefer out of my house into a public domain, I want it to be out there, right? But if the example the Gemara gives it, you see a broken glass in the area, you have a lot of kids and you're moving the glass. I'm not interested in the glass being. I'm just protecting the kids. Says the Maharsha, באמת, באמת, it's מלאכה שאינה צריכה לגופה. He never ever wanted to have the results of the bushes that he picked up. He wanted just to be captured and killed. Says the Maharam, so why did you kill him? Again, the witnesses gave him a warning. Today is Shabbat. I know. You know the punishment? Yes, I know. I'm doing it anyway. But the Tosafot are telling us, it's a midrash, really, not Tosafot, that the man really did not want. Again, Chilul Shabbat means I'm picking up an apple because I want the apple. Yes?
Mm.
If I'm doing it to protect the apple, this because animals eat it. Says the Maharam, of course, באמת, באמת, בשמיים it's not Chilul Shabbat. But in court, I'm not interested in what you had in mind. I'm interested in your act. You hear? And the act was Chilul Shabbat D'Oraita.
Uh-huh.
Listen carefully. Some of the Achronim, תקשיב טוב מה שאני אומר עכשיו, are saying, those sincerely religious people, please listen good now, that went to walk on Shabbat because otherwise I'm fired. This is melacha she'ena tzricha legufa, which means I don't want to do what I'm doing. I'm doing it only to avoid A, to avoid B. This is, of course, a limud zechut, to reduce it maybe from an avera deoraita, maybe. Remember, not if you walk to buy yourself a car, not to walk to have money to go on vacation, but those who walk for ends meet. However, here it is. All those who, again, by the book, we are now lawyers of those people. By the book, it's not the oraita, but all the children of those people, you have no excuse for your kids, you understand? A kid doesn't understand this lomdes. Perhaps even the father didn't know this lomdes. But the Rosh Yosef says in Masechet Shabbat and others are saying there is a limud zchut on the people. But the reason why most of the Ashkenazim who came from Europe, second generation, was totally not religious is exactly that. Because the kid never saw Shmirat Shabbat in the house. Many, many years ago, I had a kid in school. He says to me, is my first cousin, which means his father and her father were brothers and sisters, is dating a goy. His uncle is crying day and night. He says, what Hitler didn't do to me, my daughter does to me.
Mm.
So he wanted me to talk to him. So I told him, what does she say? Listen carefully. This is a Jewish girl. My father sent me to public school. He never celebrated Shabbat. He barely celebrated the holidays. My father in my house in the 24 years I grew there showed me that Judaism doesn't mean anything. Now when I'm coming to marry a goy, suddenly my father goes wild. I told him I mean, this was 30 years ago. There's nothing I can say. I mean, it happened many times in many, but here the claim that she had, if the father is a religious father and she found a very cute Italian in college, there's something to talk, yes? Here in Borough Park, there was one of the Be'emet Tzadikim, the Kupishnitzer Rebbe. He had a Hasid, a religious man that his daughter somehow in Manhattan was dating a goy. The father said, I mean, this is in the 50s. Said, ich bin geraten, I was saved from the Nazis. He wanted the Rebbe to talk to the girl. The Rebbe told him, I don't think I'm going to convince him. He was a very wise man. Says, but what I would suggest to you is, tell your daughter that you approve it and you want to make a very big party, engagement party. Invite all his uncles, all his family, but make sure that you have the most expensive liquors in the market. And I'm using today's, you have a blue label, you have something that you don't see every day. She was very surprised. The goy's son-in-law was very surprised. All the family are coming. But you realize, since so much booze was there for free, some of them got drunk, and the language and what they said about, remember, because Jews came also, this is Hasidic Jews. After the night is over, she told her father, the engagement is over. You see,
Wow.
this was the wisdom of the Kupishnitzer Rebbe.
Wow.
Hundreds and hundreds of Israeli girls got married to Arabs. The Arabs making money, they know exactly how to convince a girl. Years into the marriage, they're begging Israeli organizations to help them out, because when she gets married, he treats her. Remember, it's not because they're Arabs. He treats her the way his father treated his mother. He's bringing her up. Hever Apilim, made a special organization to. It's a very big problem. I must tell you a story I heard today. Today we had a special meeting with teachers. Rabbi Tukeya said something fascinating. This Shabbos he had a very special guest speaker. He invites from time to time. Listen to this. The fellow told the crowd that he was in Amman. You know, Amman is Jordan. He took a cab. Listen carefully. Starts to talk to the cab driver. Where are you from? Please listen good. The cab driver says, I'm from Haifa. He's in Amman. Were you born in Haifa? No. My grandfather was born in Haifa. But we ran away from Israel in 48. But I am from Haifa. You hear how an Arab feels connected to his homeland? אני מחיפה. 80 שנה, he was never in Haifa in his life. Oh, but this concept, if you remember all the movies, yeah, Gone in the Wind, yeah, you remember, yeah? the concept of being connected to something that is your heritage, yes? But the same exactly is Shabbat, the same exactly is Yom Tov. Are we celebrating it? Yeah, Bikra Kodesh, Chol HaMoed. Okay, we have to go to work. Are we going to work with maybe with a suit and tie? Maybe I come earlier. Maybe you have special dinners. Kids, family, they sense it very much. There are hundreds of stories like this that sometimes people are connecting to the past. And my good friend from Israel, he lost his wife and he remarried a Russian doctor. She told me and my wife, I came from Russia, nothing. I didn't have anything to do with Judaism. Okay, she worked as a doctor. A nice family invited her for Pesach night. They didn't focus on her. But the Seder was 5 hours. Says when the Seder was over, I knew that I'm coming back home. I never felt anything like this. I never felt connected. Look at the early settlers that came to Israel, yes? They really came to build the country. This is our homeland. But today it's religious or not religious, except, of course, Larry always says, yes, those who live, the settlers who live in dangerous area just because it's ours, yeah?
I asked them, where does it come from? And it's just an amazing thing how they come and they stay on places and they just love the land. Whether you agree with them or not, it's something to behold, and it's fascinating. The love of Eretz Israel, to
Yeah,
put
yeah, yeah.
yourself, they could live in Tel Aviv, they could live here, there, and they sit in a trailer that we wouldn't go on such a trailer for
Yeah.
Shabbat, for a weekend, and they leave their homes and with all their children, all the comforts, just for Ahavat Yisrael, Chibat Haaretz.
When we went on our trip, you remember we went to Gush Etzion. So if you remember in the pizza store, the owner of the pizza store at that time, this is after October 7, said that any woman that the husband is serving or any soldier can come in, take pizza or cake free. When we came there, we just sat there and 4 ladies come and they order only coffee. They schmooze themselves. Miss Winkler and myself are talking to them, and they told us where the husbands are. I was asking one of them, but one of them, well, where do you get the koach to? He says, what do you mean what? This is what I was raised for. This is our land. בלי תוירס. She didn't say anything philosophically. She says, it's our land. This is what our husbands and us were raised for. That we are mitpael, chas v'shalom, not to put anything down, but we're mitpael from Hashem Yishmor. People were in Gaza for half a year, 738 days. This is people, as you said, they're professionals. They make money, but they live. You look out from your window, you see Bnei Ishmael. But again, it's only if you are raised and it's part of you. There is a fascinating statistical fact. Relatively speaking, remember, it's a relative fact. Americans real Zionistic, who moved to Israel, and they moved to, let's say, to Hebron, relatively speaking, kids, mainly boys from those families, became more non-religious than the average. Why? If you take a regular American kid, my parents are very Zionistic. Amazing, they fulfilled. I am locked in. I cannot go out at night to play basketball. I cannot go to the movies in the next settlement. It's very difficult for a kid unless he was trained to, unless it was We know a family, Ezra, you know them. Okay, the kids went to Israel. The parents moved to Israel, yes. And one of them, the husband is a psychiatrist, and the wife is a very educated woman. And one of the kids, נהיה לא דתי. I mean, because here, if you are a Zionistic family, keeping Pesach, keeping Sukkot is part of our Zionistic religious Jew. You come to Israel very often, the serving in the army or serving the country is sometimes a substitute for the, relatively speaking, I mean, I heard it from many, ככה זה. Rabbi Tokay, who is a rabbi of Kings Bay Jewish Center, is now the head of the RCA. He took a group of rabbis, to visit many places in Israel, and he spoke in Kibbutz Sha'arbim on Shabbat. A very educated, a very wise man. שאל אותו, למה אתה לא עולה לארץ? So of course he says, זו שאלה טובה, but then he says, I have many friends that moved to Israel. His daughter, for instance, is learning now to become a nurse in Israel. Fine. Many of my friends that moved to Israel have one child became not religious. Relatively speaking, those kids who would have stayed in America, says, and I'm wondering why. So he explains to them, yes, unless you have a warm religious atmosphere in your house, then you are immune. But if the religiosity is a nationalistic type of religion, the minute you come to Israel, you have another religion. The religion is serving, volunteering, this and that. You don't feel the inner strong necessity to really keep doing the mitzvot. כך הוא אמר להם, זה מעניין מאוד שקיבלו את זה. לא, וכולם, because the statistic is known. בעזרת השם, tomorrow night, we're going to continue. So Larry, tomorrow night will still be with us.
Yes, yes.
Larry, בעזרת השם, is going to a wonderful trip for 2 weeks.
Okay. Allah ma'ak, as they say.
To Israel? Where are you going, Larry?
Nepal and Bhutan.
Oh, not even close.
Not close. But I'm joined with a whole bunch of Israelis, so it's gonna be
But
very
I say it to a few people, they told me that Nepal means you're going to climb a lot. I mean, you're climbing on mountains.
Isn't that where it's close to, what's it called?
Mount Everest.
Mount Everest, right?
Yeah, there's a day we're flying, I think, to Everest or something. I know that the fascinating, the first Shabbat when we're there, we're in Kathmandu, and I think the biggest Chabad house in the world, or where the most Chabad people go, is on that Friday night in Chabad in Kathmandu. It's fascinating. When we were in Peru, we were in this town, we walked through, and I'm walking around, I'm showing there's a Chabad house, mittendrin, and it's not normal. And it is, all right, that was a small, nothing city. In the city of Cusco, you see the Rebbetzin and the rabbi. I mean, they're coming there with their children in the middle of the Mesiras Nefesh, that people should come and have a meal and they could eat kosher. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing.
Right.
So there's always things to see and to learn. It's wonderful.
No, but they say really the view and
Yeah, the views are tremendous, they say.
You have to say a bracha, no, Rabbi? Tell him the bracha you have to say when you see the...
What, Oseh Maaseh Bereshit?
no, the
so.
father of Rabbi Eli Mansour, Joe Mansour.
Yes, Joe.
He went to Arizona to see the
Grand Canyon?
yes, he told me which chapters in Tehillim should I mean, sometimes I remember when I went to the Canadian Rockies, you stand there, there's nothing you can say, you're just in state of awe. I told him, Barchi Nafshi, I mean, it's a good example, Larry, with Rav Wolbe, was a master educator, says today, you come to a beautiful place, you take out your camera and you take a photograph. He says, stay there 5 minutes. Take into yourself what you see, and then you take the picture. The purpose of a picture is to remind you
What you
what you
saw.
felt when you saw it.
Right.
Teenagers take the picture right away. The picture means nothing. You know, you're taking a wedding, hundreds of pictures. The photographer says, smile, smile. The picture, no, but the picture means nothing.
No, it should be a
If it's a
fascinating
picture
trip.
that people are dancing, I remember the dance. But I have to stand with my wife near my granddaughter, the bride. Very nice, smile, smile. No, but the picture doesn't. What is the picture? It's a picture that he's making money on, and I'm like a yo-yo. Yes, fine. Every time I protest, my wife says to me, "This is part of the protocol." Finished.
Right. Shalom Aleichem. Right.
No, but תחשוב רגע, באמת, תעבור בסדר. The picture, if you look at the old pictures that you have, there is always one picture that captures a moment. I have on my buffet a picture, my father-in-law, Alav Shalom, and my father,
Oh, nice.
by the kotel.
Wow.
Every time the grandchildren come, there's Saba David, there's Saba Romano, I mean, הם היו בכותל, they stood for a picture together, יש מה לראות.
Unfortunately, I don't know if I'll be able to make the classes. I think it's 10 hours ahead, Mashu. I don't know. I haven't even.
No, don't try, but take one sefer with you.
No, I have to because I have the Rambam Yomi, I have Tanakh Yomi.
Otherwise you go crazy.
iPad, Larry. I
Why
do
do you-
know
I
it's
have the
Just
iPad.
Shabbat, you have a problem. Yeah.
Right, it's okay. I'll
So
find. I have a
he's saying he's not sure that you have internet in those places.
No, I
No,
do.
you don't need internet. You can
No,
load
I have it
all.
all. No, I even have internet on some of these places that they have, all the hotels have internet and they have what's
Yeah,
called
yeah,
the bus has a hotspot. I'll be fine. Listen, you know what the nice thing is? I don't want my phone. I
Right.
don't want my email. I told people, don't send me anything. I'm not gonna look. I'm taking time off. Just leave me alone.
This is real menuchat hanefesh, yes.
Right. I don't want to hear Mrs. Muchnick paid the rent, did pay the rent, did pay the rent. Her toilet's leaking. I could do without that this week. I mean, no,
but there's הפירוש של המילה vacation זה you vacant your mind.
Right.
You vacant your mind. זה הפירוש של המילה. Anyway, בעזרת השם.
Enjoy
We'll see everybody tomorrow night,
tomorrow
and I'll
night.
see you tomorrow
Lilah
morning,
tov,
Rabbi
everyone.
Prague. Thank you.
Lilah
Shakaya.
tov,
Good night,
lilah
everybody.
tov.
Good night, Salim.
I forgot to write it over here.